Welcome. Today I'm here to talk to you about the new Google assignment type that we have in Katie. The first thing to discuss is this assignment type something that will be helpful for you? So there are a few people that this will be helpful for. The first would be, have you ever wished that your students could submit a Google Doc, slide, or sheet as an assignment instead of turning it into a PDF or a Word document? If that's something that you're interested in, you want to keep watching the video so that you can see how to do that. The next, do you often run into issues where your students improperly share their files with you in Google Drive? You ask them to share a Google Drive, Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Sheet, perhaps an audio or video file in their Google Drive with you. And then when you go to grade it, you find that you don't have the proper permissions. And this leads to you emailing the student saying you need to make me an editor and them emailing you back. So if you've been annoyed by that in the past, Google Assignments takes care of all of that for you. So you'll be interested in this. The next is, has your email inbox been clogged up by too many email alerts coming from your students as they share their assignments with you in Google Drive? This, once again, will stop that. Your students will submit their assignments through the Katie interface, and you will receive no emails about this. Also, do you have assignment files that are too large to upload to Katie? We do have quite a few people who this happens to, so perhaps your students put their file in Google Drive and either share it with you or share the link with you in Katie. You have to do some kind of workaround. The nice thing about Google Assignment is that any type of file that can be added to a Google Drive can be submitted as an assignment and into the assignment in Katie. So this would be a way to control that. You could create an assignment, a Google assignment. Your students could attach their large Excel files, their video files, their sound files, and then you'll have all of that in a single interface to go out. Do you wish or enjoy commenting on student work in Google Docs and not the Katie PDF annotator? If so, then this would be a great way for you to do that. The Google assignment, you create everything in Katie, but then when it comes to be time to grade, you'll click on your Google assignment in Katie and it will take you to Google Drive so that you can use the Google Docs interface, for an example, to create comments, to use the suggesting mode to suggest text, and provide feedback. So if that's something that you like doing, this assignment type will be really great for you. And lastly, have you been interested in Google Classroom and some of the functionality, but want to keep the things that you've been doing in Katie, or have things that you do in Katie that you aren't able to do in Google Classroom? If that's the case, then Google Assignment is a good way to bring a lot of the functionality of Classroom into Katie while still allowing you to use things like the Katie gradebook and keeping everything in a single place. So what is Google Assignment? It is an alternative to the assignment activity that we currently have in Katie. It does the same things that the assignment activity in Katie does. Students come in, they submit an assignment, and once they have submitted that assignment, they are no longer able to make changes. You go in and provide feedback, and then the assignment is returned to their student. So in that regard, it works just like the current assignment activity that we have in Katie and will continue to have. The only difference is that with Google Assignments, students can submit an actual Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Sheet, or any file that exists in their drive without having it downloaded to their computer and then uploading it into Katie. They're linking directly from their drive into the assignment. So the nice thing about this is that students no longer have to turn those Google Doc papers that they write into PDFs or Word documents before and download them and then upload them. They're submitting their Google Doc as a Google Doc. They're submitting their Google Slide as a Google Slide. Any file that can be uploaded into Google Drive can be submitted. So this could include video files that you could then just click on and watch in Google Drive, audio files, large Excel files. Any file that can be added to Google Drive can be submitted as a file by the student in Google Assignment. The big benefit of Google Assignment is that it easily controls that sharing access. So generally, when a student creates their Google Docs, say, for their paper, they would then have to share that with you. They would have to remember to share it with you. They would have to give you the proper level of sharing that you need to be able to do what you want to do and to see what you need to see. And then, you would get email notifications about all of this happening. The nice thing about Google Assignment is that when the student submits the file to Google Assignment, the assignment controls all of that sharing and access. So students don't have to share it with you in any way, and you don't have to watch your email to see if those shares have come in. What it also does is when the student submits the file, ownership is transferred to you temporarily. So just like the assignment module that we currently have in Katie, once they've submitted their Google Doc through Google Assignment, they can no longer make any changes to that file. It's locked down for them. You own it temporarily until you return it to them. So that's the big advantage over just trying to have students share things with you from Google Drive, is that this is going to facilitate that sharing with any of the instructors in the course, and then also keep students from making any changes after the assignment has been submitted. Also, this is a way to grade assignments. So what students have submitted, say, their Google Doc, their paper as a Google Doc, when you click on it, you will actually be taken to an interface in Google where you will grade and comment on that work instead of doing that within Katie. So that is a big advantage for people who like the commenting features that exist in Google. And so that's a way to do that a bit more organically for those of us who like the Google interface. Another thing that's different about the Google assignment activity from the traditional assignment activity is that you can return student work at your own pace. With the current assignment activity, as you go through and grade assignments, those assignments appear to the students in the gradebook. The difference with Google assignment is that you have to return the assignment to the student. So you can go through and do all of your grading and then return all of the papers at once. So for those of you who often grade over several days, instead of having to go in and hide the assignment or something like that, you can do it at your own pace. You can go through, and then once you've finished your grading, return all of the student work at once. The other big advantage is that once you provide a grade in the Google interface, those grades are automatically going to be downloaded into your Katie gradebook. So if you're used to, say, having students turn things in or sharing things with you from Google Drive, and then you have to go in and manually create a grade item, and then go in and manually enter grades, you'll no longer have to do that. When you grade them in Katie, those grades will pass back automatically to your Katie gradebook. This is what the assignment module does. And these are how it's different from the current assignment module that we have and will continue to have, and what some of the advantages are for some of you. So here's an example of a Google assignment that I've created here in my Katie course. Any Google assignment you'll see has this new icon type, which is this clipboard with the blue piece of paper on it with the check mark. After you've created your assignment, you'll come click on it, and I can see here the list of submissions that the students have made. to my assignment. So I can see these that have been graded, and here is a new submission to grade. So what happens then? I click on this, and it takes me out to this Google Assignments interface where I can do lots of things. I can create comments for my students here. I can enter a grade here in the right, and I can also provide overall feedback that my student will see here. One of the interesting things about Google Assignments is that you'll see after I'm done grading, this is not automatically returned to the student. Once I finish, I can come back here to my student's Google assignment page, and I can see that I can go through and grade all of my assignments, but it will say draft until the time that I'm actually ready to return this to the student. So I can return all of them at once, or I can return them one by one by returning the assignment to the student, and which will notify them, and then I go ahead and return it here. Once I have finished grading the assignment here in the Google assignment, if I go to grades, you'll see that that grade is now automatically updated in my in the column for this grade item itself. So the nice thing about this is that if I have a student who they can submit here through the Google assignment, I can review it, I can give it a grade, and then it will automatically show up here in my gradebook that I've set up and weighted properly. So how does this actually work? How does Google Assignments facilitate this file sharing and ownership transfer back and forth? So the first thing that happens is the creation, right? An instructor goes in and creates the assignment in Katie, and with an optional step, attaches any template files from their drive that they might want students to use. Copies of that template file is made for each student, and then if you use those template files, the file ownership at that point that the copy happens is transferred to the student. At this point, you as an instructor cannot view or edit the template file copies that the students have created. If you're not using template files at all, right? So right now, all you've done is create the assignment. You haven't created any files or attached anything to the assignment. You've just created the spot for the students to come to do their submission. So the next thing that happens is students come in and submit their work. So students either edit the template file that you've created, or they create or have already created a Google Doc or an Excel spreadsheet or something in their Google Drive, and it already exists in their Google Drive. The students then come to the assignment in Katie, click on the assignment in Katie, and attaches that file or the template file to the assignment in Katie and submits their work. When that happens, ownership of that file now temporarily transfers to you, the instructor, and students are no longer able to edit or view the files, right? They have temporarily transferred ownership to you, and they can't go in and make any more edits or changes. So the next step is for you as the instructor to grade and return. So you will go in and grade and provide feedback on the assignment, and then return the assignment to the students. And when you do that, file ownership will then transfer back to the student, and students are now able to continue to edit the assignment at this point. But interestingly, a backup copy of that file that includes any of the margin comments that you've created and feedback is now automatically saved to your Google Drive. It's not shared with the student at all. It's just your own personal copy of the student's work as it was after you finished grading it. So we now have two separate copies, the backup copy that exists in your drive and the student's copy that you've now returned back to them. So the last thing that then you can do, so students will go in and be able to see their grades, comments that you've made, and any feedback that you've done. They can, if you wish, even go in, edit, and resubmit the assignment if you ask them to and allow that. So that's sort of the workflow, right? You create the assignment and a template file if you so wish. If it's something like a paper, say, you would just go in and create the assignment. No need for a template file. Students would then go to their Google Drive, create a new Google Doc, and write their paper. Then come to Katie, click on the assignment, and attach that Google Doc that they created for their paper to the assignment and submit it. So that ownership transfers to you. The student is now locked out of the paper. They cannot make changes. And that allows you to then grade it and provide feedback and return it to the student. Here's how you actually would create a Google assignment. So here in Katie, I'm going to go to add an activity or resource. And I'm going to pick an external tool. This external tool that Google Assignment works is through an LTI, Learning Technology Interoperability tool. So here in the adding the new tool, in this pre-configured tool field, I am going to pick Google Assignment LTI. Once I've picked Google Assignment LTI, the next thing that I will do, this select content button is now clickable. So I'm going to click on that to actually create the assignment. The first thing that it will ask you to do is to associate your Luther College Norse Key Norse Apps account. You can only use your @luther.edu account with Google Assignment. If you try to use your personal account, either you or your students, you will be told that they have to use their Luther account and it won't work. So you will be asked to associate your Google account. You will go ahead and say continue. And then you'll be taken to the create page. So right now I am creating my Google assignment. I can set the number of points that it's worth. I can give my assignment a due date and a due time. And if I would like, I can create and associate a rubric to go with this assignment. I can also attach a Google document or other type of file to work with this. An example of what you might do is if you had, say, a template file for a worksheet or an Excel spreadsheet that you would like the students to use, you can attach that here and it will automatically create a copy for the students. So I'm creating my Google assignment. Go ahead and click create. And now I will give my untitled assignment a name. And you have additional options that that you can choose. So this button here, accept grades from tool, you have to have that enabled in order for Google Assignment to work. But this is where you can come in and make some changes. You can categorize your grade if you have categories in your gradebook. You can change availability or add access restrictions or make changes to your activity completion settings and then save and display. Once you've created your assignment, every time you click on it, you will see this landing page for the assignment. So as students come in and begin submitting their assignments, you will then see those here. And then once you have graded those, then you'll be able to come and see their grades and their returns and return those assignments like we saw in the previous assignment. It's pretty simple. You can make a few edits once you have saved your assignment here. So this is where then you will add any instructions that you have for the student. Which will then show up for them here when they click on the assignment. Another thing, there is this check plagiarism or originality checker, which you can enable. A couple of things about this: you have a limited number of assignments that you can use the plagiarism originality checker on per month. Additionally, this shows students every instance of text that matches text out on the web, and tells them that they have a similar passage to one that's out on the web, which can be helpful. One issue that I have found with that is that anytime a student has a citation that is in a format that would match a citation on any paper out on the web, that's going to get flagged for them, and might cause more trouble than you're wanting. But if that's something that's important to you, this is something that you can do, and it will show the students both before they submit and show you after the students have submitted any passages that match something that is findable out on the web. So that's what we've got. It's pretty painless making the assignment. If you do decide that you want to attach a file, you have to do that during creation. You can't go back and attach the file later. So to show you what that looks like, I'll just set up another Google assignment. And to do this, I'm going to click attach, and that's going to then load this screen that might be familiar to you when you are attaching other things from Google Drive. So you'll be able to see your entire drive. You'll be able to see your recent documents. You'll select the thing that you want to become a template and add it. And this is telling you each student will get a copy. So when the student comes and clicks on the assignment, they will get their own copy for them. So as you create these assignments here, what about the actual files? Where are those actually going? So once you've created your first Google assignment, you will find that you have a new folder in your Google Drive called Assignments. And it will create a new folder for each course that you are in. And if you go to that course, you'll see that a folder is also created for each assignment that you create. So as you create these and your students submit assignments, you will see that I now have these assignments that students have submitted. And each one, it will create a new copy. So you can see that here is an assignment that one of my students submitted, and it is owned by me. And then as I return them to students, the student also is owner of their returned assignment, but I am still an editor for the assignment. This folder will be created for the instructor who creates the assignment. Any template files that you create will show up here as a template, and you will see that appended to the name of the assignment. And all of these you will see are shared. All of these are shared. In addition to me as the owner, the instructor, it is also shared with with anyone who is an instructor in the course. So if you have multiple instructors, this is also a really nice way that you can go in and view and share these Google Doc assignments, where they don't have to be shared with both of you. The student just has to submit it in one place, and both of you are able to access those assignments. So if you're interested in trying out and creating some Google assignments, you can go ahead and start doing that now. This is live. You can go in and start creating those and having students submit. If you have questions or need help setting up a Google assignment, you can visit the CELT webpage to see the documentation, or you can also contact the Katie support team through the technology help desk, and we can get some of those answers to you. I really recommend reading over the documentation on the KELT website. It has step-by-step instructions on how to set up and grade an assignment, and it has a link to information that you can provide to your students on how to submit a Google assignment. So since this will be a little bit different for them, and the workflow will be a little bit different. And they may not be used to not having to share anything, which they will no longer have to do. So those are the ways that you can get help, and you can go ahead and get started. Please provide any feedback that you might have to either the technology help desk or to me, Holly White. That's WHITHO01 at luther.edu. We're very interested to hear what you think about this, and we'll be keeping you abreast as any changes happen to the assignment module going forward.